This has been sitting in a drawer for ages, and I didn't even fill it or take it out sketching. So what is it, and why haven't I used it? It's a little folding travel palette that I picked up on Amazon for less than £10, and on paper it looked quite fun, like a good idea. You've got these removable trays, each with 12 little paint wells, mixing areas, and even a water cup. And then everything folds up nice and compact. But in practice, it's just a bit too fiddly. The pans are very shallow and don't hold much. As you can see, they fall off. And I think it'd be pretty messy to stack them back up on top of each other inside the box when you've just used them and they're still wet. Even when I considered just using one of the trays, I still wasn't really convinced. And when something feels like that, you just don't reach for it, especially when you've got other palettes that are quicker to put together and easier to use. So it's ended up just living in a drawer. But when I mentioned this in my previous video, where I rounded up some of the pros and cons of the travel palettes that I have, several of you suggested different ways of using it. And one person even kindly uploaded a photo showing their setup. So I thought before it stays in a drawer forever, I'd give it a try. So the suggestion was to remove both of these little trays and fill the main centre section with 12 standard half pans. It sounds obvious now, but it genuinely didn't occur to me that they would fit. So let's have a go. I've been enjoying using my Senneliers quite a lot lately, but the tin has now ended up completely filled with 21 half pans. And for once I've actually been organised. I made a little colour chart card with all their names and numbers on. So I don't really want to mess that up at the moment. But I've got this set of 15 Daniel Smiths, and I ummed and ahed about which 3 to remove, and I decided to get rid of that green that I really don't like, and a couple of others. And then I put them in the centre section as suggested. And voila! Well, they fit perfectly. It's like one of those little puzzles I had as a child. And now that looks much more usable to me. Some of you said that you use the standard mixing trays. Maria, who kindly took the time to upload a photo of her modified palette, said she uses one of the 12 pans as a mixing area. So you've got plenty of choice there. I'm going to stick with the standard one for now and see how I get on. As with my Senneliers, I'm trying to be reasonably organised with my palettes at the moment. So again, I've made a very basic colour chart. I know some people's little swatch cards look like works of art in themselves. Mine do not. But it does the job and it fits nicely in the lid, which is very handy. So I gathered together everything I needed, ready to try it out on location. Just maybe not today. This did make me think, do I really need to take this out and use it on location? Couldn't I just try it at home in the studio? But today reminded me why I usually do, and I'll come back to that later. I wanted somewhere colourful to make the most of these vibrant Daniel Smiths, so once the rain stopped, I headed down to the seaside to sketch the amusement arcades and fast food kiosks. The other materials I'm using are a Solar Food Aid to Manon fountain pen with a 40-degree nib, and a Sea White Brighton A5 travel journal. When I got to this bit here by the main entrance, as so often happens when you're sketching on location, a big van pulled up right in front of the building. Now, I'd already taken a photo. I take quite a lot for these videos, so I could have worked from that. But if I'm going to sketch from a photo, I might as well stay at home and do it in the studio. And trying to see a screen in bright sunlight isn't exactly ideal anyway. Yes, the sun did come out occasionally. I kept avoiding that area for as long as possible until I eventually decided I'd have to include the van. And pretty much as soon as I started drawing it, this happened. Oh well, such is life, first world urban sketching problems and all that. Once the ink work was finished, it was time to try the little blue palette. You could clip one of the trays here under your page, a bit like the Portable Painter Micro, but it's not exactly heavy and I'm sitting down, so I might as well hold it. That was the first little niggle. One of the mixing flaps kept blowing shut. It did this a few times. To be fair, there was a bit of a sea breeze, but I've not had this happen with my Winsor & Newton where the trays feel a bit tighter. It's only a minor thing, but worth mentioning. In the foreground, I didn't add much colour to the cars and none at all to the wall, because I wanted the eye to be drawn to the focal point in the middle ground, where I tried to keep the colours brighter and with more contrast. This is also why I kept those towers in the background a little bit paler. I found the palette really easy to use. There's plenty of mixing space, and the water pot didn't feel like it was going to fall off or anything while I was using it. It all felt quite solid. Apart from that little tray, perhaps. The second little niggle came when I went to put it down, which you can't really do without either removing the water cup or just knocking it off. Not a problem as such, because of course you can just take it off if you're working on a table or a flat surface. But again, it's an issue the Winsor & Newton doesn't have, because the water cup on that doesn't hang below the main body. So only a couple of minor niggles so far. We'll get to the last one when I get home, but overall I did actually enjoy using it.
I did just spill a load of water in my paint there. Annoying.
Of course, when I packed up to leave, the sun came out, casting shadows that would have added a bit more depth. Typical. When I got home and opened it, I noticed the mixing tray had stuck to the top of the pans, and it actually pulled them out as I lifted it. It was partly my fault, because obviously I did spill a little bit of water when I was packing up, so everything was a bit wetter than usual. But it's actually one of those things that I probably wouldn't have noticed if I'd just been using it at home at my desk, because I'd probably have left it open to dry. So it's a good example of why I like to take things out and actually use them on location. I'll probably secure the pans to the base with some blue tack or something similar so they don't lift out, but I don't really like the idea of the tray sticking to the tops of any wet pans every time I close it. Again, it's not something I've ever had happen with my Winsor & Newton, and I'd be interested to know if those of you who use this palette have had the same thing happen, and if so, if you've found a way around it. So yes, I did like it, and I'm really glad I tried it, and I'll definitely use it again, but would it replace my Winsor & Newton Pocket Field box as my regular everyday palette? Probably not, for the reasons I've mentioned. The Winsor & Newton isn't perfect, and I know it's not to everyone's liking, but for me it just works. So a big thank you to everyone who commented on my last video and encouraged me to give this little palette another go. It's definitely much more usable like this. Thanks for watching and happy sketching.